Alrighty, g'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and I don't know why I said it that. Did I even do a g'day? But here we are. Welcome to the FPV weekly live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to go through, do some audio checks, and go through all that sort of stuff. However, lights, camera, action. Today we got a bunch of cool things coming up in the stream. Let me get straight into it. I can see some amazing people in the chat. I can see Donnie, Kiz as well. And we have a whole bunch of our super supporters. Thank you very much, Johnny DRC, ACC Jeep. I can see Sparuni in here. Who else I saw? And Handy Racer. I think he was the very first person that actually put a comment in today's stream. However, let me tell you what we have coming up. Let me know too, is the audio working? Because that's always important. But we're going to check in with you guys. And then I have some amazing channel tech to show you that I think will change a lot of people's lives when they're flying together. You know, I'm a big believer in getting people flying. The community is the #1 most incredible thing about FPV. So if you wanted to fly with other people, and we're talking specifics about like video frequencies and how to sort that, I have something incredible to show you that we've been working on. We're going to be talking about this, which is causing a bit of a stir on the internet right now in the FPV world. This is the P1 from BetaFPV. I've got it right here in my Lightning V2. Where I don't want to say too much just yet, but I'm having a lot of fun with this craft right here. We'll be talking a whole bunch about goggles as well. I have something that I'm personally excited about, and some long-term viewers. I'm talking like people have been watching for 10 years here in the chat. Let me know if you've been watching for a long time, but maybe some super celebrities for me, or I just get really good friends. I'm hoping will come and visit tomorrow. I want to talk about some stuff for Open IPC. We're going to be talking about these right here. About these goggles. That's the anti-gravity goggles, and how they're kind of like peak. They do so much that I like, but they also have some limitations. We need to talk about some Cadex VRXs and how we're going to mount them. I want to possibly, if we get time, talk about the HDZero Box Pro goggles, because I get a lot of comments about those, and then just flying for fun as well, and like sort of just enjoying the hobby. Sometimes if you're a content creator as well, you can feel a little bit of pressure. So this might be going out to some people who, if you are making things for the community, oh no, where's my camera gone? Please don't do this to me, camera. If you are making some things for the community, it can get a little bit overwhelming sometimes, and we can lose sight of why we do this, which is just all about flying, having fun, and just remember to always do it for you as well. So we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the stream. But let me know what is happening wherever you are around the world. Is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Are you like in the future? Please let me know what's going to be happening. Or maybe you're in the past if you're over there in Freedom Land or something. It's Monday morning for me. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend flying. You got some packs. Maybe it's not too cold. I don't want too much wind out there. I want to hear some happy flying stories. When was the last time you get flying? Or maybe you've got some cool parcels that have turned up in the post as well. Please just let me know, if you're out there, what you are doing in the FPV space, because you matter, because I do care about you. And you might think, Stuart, you're just randomly speaking to the internet, but it is true. I would like to say that this FPV community is amazing. I am so glad that you are part of this community. That is why it is special, because we have people like you. And if you are hearing this and it's going to your ears, that means I am talking about you to let you know that you really are valued. You really are cared about, and I'm so grateful for you to be here. You are seen, you are heard, and you are not alone. You are part of this community, and even though we are thousands of miles apart from each other, maybe on the other side of the planet, this is going straight to you to let you know that you are cared about. Sometimes I know with the internet, this hobby can feel a little bit isolating when you're sitting on the other side of the screen, but you are not alone. And I'm so grateful that you are here, and you are always welcome. Now we will be, I'm going to catch up here. Kiz is saying, viewer from the start, first watch your videos before I owned a drone. I've been doing this for over a decade there, so there we go, sort of showing our age. Handy Racer has some perfect flying weather. Thank you so much. But he's stuck at work. Yeah, typical. That's how it usually goes. And Sparuni has just finished his Mobula 8 with an 04 and a lens mod. So pretty high-end craft right there. Hopefully no crashing. I really like the Mobula 8. It's an awesome little craft. And the very first Mobula, I think was like a 2S Whoop that I ever flew. And that was actually insane. I'd never seen a little drone move quite as fast as that one. It's almost 8 for Donnie over there in the States. Probably has a fair bit of snow, and I've been seeing a few posts actually on DIY FPV with some people's crazy weather. It looks like it's kind of cold. I shouldn't complain too much about just how hot and dry it is right here. It's quite hard for the lawn. Everything seems to be drying out. All right. Let's kick it off. The first thing that I'm going to show you, and let me know what you think about this in the chat. If you've ever wanted to fly with other people and you've turned up to a race event or you've turned up to fly in the park and you have had video issues, I am very proud to announce that we are going to be solving that with a really, really cool piece of tech. And this is over on DIY-FPV. So let me show you this. This is what the team has been working on behind the scenes. I think it's going to change a lot of pilots' lives. If you don't know, DIY-FPV, it's all about getting people flying. You can do some incredible things there. Like if we have a look over here on the map, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, or ignore my little emails that are coming through on DIY-FPV, but like jumping over here, you can see this is like the pilot map. And, you know, we've shown this off a few times, and look, let's have a look at Europe. They seem to be doing really well. These are all registered pilots on there, so you can message them, meet up for a fly. But what happens when you get together and you might be a new pilot or you might not be familiar with the video system they are using? All of our systems cannot fly at the same time. It is something that race organizers take very, very seriously. If you want to fly with other pilots, it can be difficult. And if you are flying on a channel that's going to bleed into someone else's, it's going to cause interference. Nobody's going to have a good time. And it gets even worse when you try to fly multiple systems. How can we fix that? With a lot of maths and some really, really cool tools. And we have made this on DIY-FPV, and a huge shout out to Matisse, Toms, and Ernest. The amount of work that has gone into this is, I am so proud, because now this is not live yet, but it will be coming. This is one of the tools that we're releasing soon, all free for you guys, aimed to get people flying. We come here, and at the moment, we've got 2 analog pilots. And look, this is still an early dev build that we have. There's some refinements to do. There's a few little bugs that we have to iron out, but let me know what you think about this. You come to the flying field and we're like, okay, what are we actually flying around with? Oh, well, we've got 2 analog pilots. This should be no problem. Look, if one pilot goes down here, and it tells you the frequency that we're supposed to be on. So we've got R1, R8. Oh, that's great. And we're going to get into some specifics here. So strap in, get ready for an FPV lesson. That might be great, but then, well, we've got one pilot who turns up, who flies around with DJI. Oh, okay, all right, well, we don't want to bleed into each other too much, so this is giving us the best possible choice, okay? If we look here, now maybe we've got 2 walk snail pilots. Okay, we're going to put them on these channels. Let's add a HDZero pilot in here. You can actually map this out, and it will give you the best possible performance. And it is not just talking about spacing. It is doing some crazy maths behind the scenes about interpolar modularization, or, you know, whatever that wants to be. There's a whole bunch of settings that you can go through. You can really configure this and change a lot behind the scenes. But for the average user, you can just come here, say, all right, we're going to fly this, and this is the best possible chance you have to fly. Now, this is, of course, I just want to say, like a little demo. But let me know what you think about this tool. I think it's going to help so many people be able to be like, let's fly together and have fun. That's what FPV is all about. And of course, you can't just like put as many channels as you want in here, because I think it should give us a warning. So if it actually gets to a space where it's like, oh, we're not going to be able to do this based on the current settings. So you're going to need to change a few things. The more you change it, you're like, oh, I don't want to bother with it too much. It's on the best recommended settings at the moment. We're going to have some things, some multi-GP. We're going to have like some defaults that you can click to say, hey, what are the best race channels that we can use? Some best practice with using left hand, right hand. And then for any of the maths nerds out there, we can really go into, we've got some modes here. So this is IMD cautious. So like how much interpolar modularization, I think that's how you pronounce it, is actually happening, and that's what affects a lot of people. However, you might just want to set it so I want the maximum distance between the channels in terms of separations. There is so much behind the scenes here, but it is such a cool little piece of tech that we've just designed it that it's really easy to use. You can save this, you'll be able to just like print it out, you know, maybe have a QR code or something. If you're flying, you can come here. You can also name your pilots as well. So one of the bugs I've noticed is as I delete, I'm going to have to refresh, because notice this says pilot 11 and 12, and we've just deleted some. It doesn't actually delete the entry. So let me just refresh this. Here we go. So we're back to pilot 1, pilot 2. You can rename them. Stu, and I think you can you might be able to change a new pilot. Like if I'm going to be, let's put Steve over here on DJI. So yeah, this is a little gift that we're going to be, you know, another thing that I know there hasn't been too many videos, but behind the scenes, there's been so much work. This is something that we've been working on, and I'm really excited to see it actually popping up. You're going to also be able to add new systems, especially with things like the P1 VTX, just trying to fly together with other people. That's what DIY FPV is all about. So not only can you find pilots, meet up with them, when you actually do get together, there's going to be a tool here when you're like, oh, why are we getting so much video interference? Boom, you come here, that's it. So, you know, and the best way that you can help is actually to use it, or just like comment on this video or help spread the word of DIY FPV. It is designed by me and Tom's, people who just love FPV, want to get people flying, and this is like a lifelong passion project. Drones have changed people's lives in so many positive ways. This is all for you guys. I know actually how to space my channels out and do this, but this is for the everyday user. I want to teach them all the lessons that I have. They don't have to go through 10 years of learning. I want them to have a great time flying today or tomorrow. Just come here. They can do that. So yeah, this is something that we've been working on in the background. One of the projects, there's quite a few actually. We've got some more big announcements coming soon, but yeah. How usable is this feature on mobile? I actually don't know. I think it definitely, like the whole site is designed to be used with mobile as well. So there's probably some considerations behind the scenes in that. I don't do the actual coding. I draw a lot of pictures and like explain things with drawings. But I'm pretty sure you'd be able to do this on mobile and it would spit you out the best channel. I don't know if it'd show you the actual like frequency separation, or like, let's change some of the bands here. What can we do? Here we go. Let's do this. Or okay, here's an example. Maybe you're going to fly somewhere where you're not worried about like the FCC band. Check this out. Well, here's like all the bands. Now we've got so much. You might have some of those VTXs that operate on some questionable frequency levels. Look how much spacing we've got right here now. Oh, my camera's just died. Ignore that. Hopefully it comes back in just a second. I'm not too sure what's happening. But yeah, really, really cool to have this project that people can use to just get flying and working together. Now, of course, that's not all. Where are we? So like this is going to be up here under the resources tab. And if we're getting together and flying, like it's all about giving you the right information. So you might want to look at, oh, okay, what's HDZero look like? What's analog? What is this system? What's walk snail look like? So we've got so many of these there for you guys to get flying. Just one of the resources that we can use. Now, let me just refix my camera. I don't know where it's disappeared to. And I don't know why it has dropped out right here. Give me 2 seconds. Hopefully I can fix this. Where are we? Here we are. It's thinking, spinning around. What is the max amount of channels it can recommend as well? Let's have a look at some of these. What is going on with my computer's camera, please? It would be nice to be able to fix that. All right, let's do a quick little flick my camera off and on. Now I'm just getting like a spinning wheel of death. Let's go to Task Manager. Here we go. One day when I'm rich and famous, I'll get a new computer. What are we looking at? All right, let's try this. Let's flick this back on. Hopefully we get some sort of noise, maybe. Or I've broken the computer. All right, we got a ghost turning in as well. Please let me know what you think of this tool in the chat. While we're trying to fix my computer and get some things working, please let me know. All right, that's some better noises. I think we're back. Okay, mate, we've disappeared. If I turn this on, let's see how we go. Wherever that's disappeared to. Remote shooting. I don't know what that is saying across the top of my face. Card cannot be accessed. Let's have a look. Let's read this together. Welcome to the most professional FPV stream. This is why I don't do coding. Jump over here. What's this say? Card cannot be accessed or format the SD card. Okay. Let's can I do that from here? It was working like 10 seconds ago. All right, I'm going to have to just put in a new SD card, which is kind of annoying. Okay, this looks like it's back for now. Okay, we are back. Welcome back. So yeah, this is like my channel tool that we've been working on with the DIY-FPV team. And I say my channel tool, it's actually like I'm drawing some pictures. There's so much work behind the scenes that these guys, just like unsung heroes, they put so much work into building this all for you guys to use, have an amazing time with. So head over to DIY-FPV, sign up, like just spread the word of this website. You can do so much really cool stuff over there. And it's all for you to use to get flying. Now, let's see. There we go. We're back. Now, jumping over here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I haven't got any text all over my head or anything like that. I might need to readjust this focus just a little bit. Someone says now do the same thing again. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, you might have seen this causing a bit of a stir, is the BetaFPV, the P1 VTX. Now, I recently did a video, and I don't think I was really calling anyone out. I was just saying, hey, I really like this VTX and don't believe the hate that it is getting by some people. I don't want to call them elitists because I put a whole bunch of reasons in here, but I really like this little VTX. And I was just addressing some of the comments that I saw a lot of people talking about. Now, probably the big one is that I think the best arguments against this ecosystem is that at the current moment, you have not many options. It really is like we have to fly this around. You need this headset, which I am not a fan of at all. And we're going to be talking about this a little bit more specifically. And number two, for a little bit more money, maybe you can get something like the WalkSnail Avatar ecosystem. However, on the flip side, this is like $180 or something to get this system. And have a look at some of the video that you can expect to get from that. For a standalone system, people getting into the hobby, I think that it is pretty amazing. I'm going to show this on the screen right now. And let me know what you think as well. If you wanted to jump into the hobby today, this is kind of the system that I would probably buy myself if I didn't know too much about FPV. Where's my work? And where are we? Is it one of these? Oh, nope, that's me talking over the top of it. Okay, here we go. So jump over here. All right. Angel's saying, I still actually find the P1 headset not that bad. I have a trick for getting it that makes it a lot better. Please let me know what that trick is, because for me, it's just quite difficult to focus and a little bit uncomfortable, and is one of the reasons why I think the Cadex Ascent headset is a little bit more ergonomic when it's on the front of my face. I don't typically like box goggles anyway, so maybe I'm biased against that. But what I'm interested in is probably the quality of the link that you are seeing. So remember, I also like that I've put it in this tiny little craft which is like the Lightning V2. I think that's a big plus as well. You've got small option VTXs. These are my favorite style of craft to fly. They're not intrusive. They're not going to upset anybody. But here we go. And you do get an OSD, but it's not going to show up here unless I turned on subtitles, but it's different when you're actually looking at it in the goggles. But this is the straight recording that my goggles were picking up. And I would just like to say, and I heard some people say that this doesn't look as fisheyed or distorted as some other images as well. I don't know what that is. Is it maybe because you're looking at in the Aquila 20 HD? Does that have a different camera on the front? I don't know. It was really easy to mount. I didn't have to do anything special. It used the existed camera like spacings and like flight controller spacings as well in the frame. But yeah, I am pretty impressed at what you can get from a 37. I really need to find the price. A $38 VTX. It's not going to be as sharp as DJI. It's not going to be as sharp as actually any of the other. The only system that I think this looks better than, well, Cadex Ascent and this, I feel very similar image quality. Digital, it's going to look better than the HDZero, in my opinion. Please fight me in the comments if you disagree. But the latency, you are going to notice the latency when you're flying this thing around. It reminds me a little bit of the very, very early craft that I flew, but it didn't hinder my flying. But I'm also not latency sensitive. Look at my amazing passion fruits growing right there. So yeah, I'm not latency sensitive. But if you were coming into the hobby and my friend said, Stu, I really want to get flying. I don't know what system to get. I'd say, well, what do you care about? And this is the sort of image quality you can expect. Now, if you're going to crash this, I think having that sort of price point is good. You don't want to be crashing like a expensive DJI O4 Pro or anything like that. But yeah, it's great. I really like it, but for a little bit more money, yes, you can get the walk snail system, the avatar system, which is a great point, but those VTXs are also going to be more expensive again. What this really needs is a VRX solution. And when I say that, I mean something that you can put to the front of your goggles, because currently with this, and this is where I will talk about the limitations, that Happy Flyer RC says, it's the price of my DJI goggles, foam and strap. You can't hate a good budget option. Yeah, I think people should get this system. It's borderline now, like there are legitimate arguments of like just spend a little bit more money, or like it doesn't have a VRX. Good points. If this had a VRX, which I can't confirm, or I don't know if that is in their plans. If there was a VRX where I did not have to use this goggle, for me, I'm all for that. I don't think BetaFPV is going to be disappearing anytime soon. You still look at like their products that they release, things like the Cetus, which I don't like, but that is still being worked on and still sold by BetaFPV today. I feel like it's awesome. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good analogy a little bit as well, and maybe here is a decent analogy. If you wanted to play video games, right, but you can't afford to get a PC, let's pretend that in this alternate universe there was a Switch 2, but it was significantly cheaper, and it can only play those Switch 2 games. Maybe, and there wasn't any backwards compatibility or anything like that. You are happy to buy in, and you only get to play like Mario or those first party releases from Nintendo. You are locked into that specific one. Would that be good enough for some people? That's the best analogy that I can think of. Now, if you've got some tips to make these more comfortable, please let me know. That is, in my opinion, the number one thing that BetaFPV could do to absolutely dominate this part of the market at this early time is to make a VRX that we can plug into any of our goggles. That would be huge for this. Angel is saying 2/3 of my whole setup is BetaFPV. Yes. No VRX, no HDMI out. I do not think I can my wallet. I don't think I can find my wallet. Yeah, like that's points. If there's no VRX, no HDMI out, sure. This system is not going to be for you. Maybe if there was that, would that change your mind? Johnny DRC had a good question, and if you've got any questions, please let me know in the chat. So Speruni says this is less blocky than my Vista. Okay, and I do need to do a bit of an update just here over on the comparison tool, which every time these new systems come out, I've got to start to do a little bit more work. But I will be putting it in here at some point where when I get a day that is like a similar conditions at a similar time, I will make sure I update this with some ArtLink stuff. So I'm going to have to put another system in here that is the P1 VTX. I don't know if it's got a specific name, but you'll be able to compare just the visual clarity of what that looks like. Maybe I need some example videos down here of like, hey, here's what it was like when it was flying around. And we do have a latency tool in the pipeline somewhere as well to be able to show people that. How far can it go before you lose video on that? That's something that I'll need to, I'm going to be testing soon. I'm waiting until I get my, which should be turning up. I have a Walksnail VRX, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. I'll be talking about that and doing a bit of testing on the same day between these systems as well. How is Ascent compared? This is a really good question. So how is the Ascent compared to the BetaFPV ArtLink? For me, like if we're looking at the Ascent here, the images are relatively similar. This is the Ascent, and we just saw this one flying around. But the big difference between the two, I feel this is much more stable. And this is not a fair comparison. At the moment, if I had to choose one, I would choose this system, not because of the image. It is purely because I felt like it was a more consistent, confident link that I had to my drone in terms of my FPV video feed. I didn't get any stuttering. It didn't drop out and then come back. It didn't even really break up too much. It just felt much more robust, and I had a lot more confidence flying this. I didn't have the limitations. I didn't feel scared to go and fly this thing and worry, is this going to drop out of the sky anytime soon? However, to that point, the only system I have flown on Ascent is an early, very, very early prototype Protoss version, which I don't even know where that is at the moment. And that was only on 100 milliwatts. This is flying around on 200 milliwatts with a probably far more refined or release candidate firmware version. So you can do a lot with software and a lot with power levels. So it is not really an apples to apples comparison, but there will be that coming in the future. Once I get my Ascent VRX, which is on the way, we'll talk about that in just a little bit as well, I'll be able to give a better indication. But at the moment, this has got really, really strong legs. So I like exactly what this is doing. Good old Charlie there. He's not interested in the drones anymore. He's too old. Let's have a look. May jump over here. Angel says, the goggles go pretty far out and people make the mistake of letting them sit on top of their nose, making people think they're uncomfortable. Personally, I don't think they're good, but I could definitely wear them for a good while without a complaint. Oh no, my camera's dying again. I think that's actually like a power lead issue, possibly. So far, it seems like the BetaFPV system is a little better, but the Ascent ecosystem is better. That's good. I agree. Let's see if we can fix this camera again. All right, it's definitely like, maybe I need to buy a new, come on, a new little power cable that goes with this. I'll order that today. There we go. We're back somehow. Okay. Oh, and we disappeared again. Come on. Oh, what is happening? Blue says if I can put it on my $700 goggles, I might get one. So what goggles are they there, Blue? Yeah, I'm definitely ordering a new battery plug today for this. Because I'm pretty sure that the one that I have is a little bit old and a little bit finicky. Sometimes it drops the connection there. All right, let's jump over here. And I'm sorry if that's been playing sound the whole time in the background. Oh, he says he's got the HDZero goggles. That's it. Let's talk about those right now, actually, because these keep popping up quite a bit. This is my impressions or my research on the HDZero Box Goggle Pros, which are these right here. Let's jump over. So HDZero, I think, makes some amazing products. They're not going to be for everybody, but they do some things that this is going to be, it is going to relate to higher options in the future when it comes to digital. So we all know HDZero, they've got the best latency of any of the digital systems. This is what they look like in the comparison. Let's just jump over here and have a look at HDZero. All right. So here's a pretty standard HDZero image. People can argue like if it looks a little better or a little bit worse. And I think the biggest limitation for me with HDZero is the image quality, but that's not why you're buying HDZero. What I actually think makes me interested in these goggles, and from what other people have said, I would love to review these one day. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but these goggles do some pretty cool things that I think the biggest one is they have a HDMI input. So that means if we get some VRXs for these cheaper systems that I can simply plug in, like the Cadex Ascent VRX, being able to put them in here makes it a pretty solid choice. And there is one big advantage that these goggles have over some of the other options, and that is it has a relatively flat front face plate. Say that 10 times quickly, because when you're going to mount something like this, we need to start thinking about some serious mounting issues. So these right here, these are my SkyZone 04Xs. They do some things a little bit differently to HDZero, but essentially they do have a HDMI input on the bottom. This is actually how I get my HDZero images, because I don't have the goggles. I've got to feed them into this VRX right here that runs a little HDMI input into my goggles. That's what a lot of these systems, that's what a lot of us pilots want to do. So to be able to run these into somebody set into their HDZero goggles too, if they can get a cheap VRX to be able to do that, that's where it's going to make a lot of sense if you're looking in the future on what goggle to get. Should you have a HDMI input? And the answer is yes. A big yes. Whatever goggle you get in the future, if you want to have any chance of stepping out of an ecosystem, having a HDMI input is big, which is why that is a serious limitation of this goggle. At the moment, not only do we not have a VRX for the P1 system, you can only get it on here, and you can't even, if this had a different VRX, even a HDMI input, imagine if you could then feed, I don't know, a different VRX on the front. You could put a Walksnail VRX or something like that on the front of this to feed it in here. So someone's saying ideally a 100 FPS HDMI input. Digital Mojo says, I almost went with those HDZeros, but settled with the DJI N3s, and I'm very happy. I built a 5-inch drone and used the 04 Lite Air unit, and it works great. Yeah, and you should also buy the goggle that you like the system of, you think you will fly primarily. So that is probably something to consider as well. So do not buy a goggle straight on the fact of like, just because it's got a VRX, that's what I want to do if I'm not going to use that. So if you don't fly, if you don't like HDZero, or you're not going to be going, like you don't like the image and you're not going to be going to races, this is probably not going to be your priority choice. You might consider something like, where are they? They'll be around here, something like this. So where this goggle, this is the Goggles X-Men. There's goggles all over this house. This goggle right here, it has a HDMI input, so you can feed some things into this goggle. So this is, and you will also be able to natively fly the Walksnail system, Walksnail avatar system. I don't know, let me know, what goggles would you buy tomorrow? It's all, any goggle manufacturer needs to think, do I have a HDMI input? That would be the #1 place. And then we're going to talk about some mounting options in just a little bit, because this is in the post as we speak. All right, this is the new Cadex Ascent VRX that is in the post that I can't wait till it gets here, and it is offering to do some pretty cool things that I can't wait to test out. So we've got it right here, And this is designed to work with the Ascent system, which is currently in like the little Protoss drone, or if you're going to be using the Ascent Lite VTX that it comes with it. But a big one here, if we have a look, this has 1080p or 120 FPS. I thought it was just 100. So that's going to be interesting. You're going to want a goggle that's going to be able to do that. But let's have a look right here, because this is going to open up the Ascent system to a lot of users out there, because I don't blame anybody who has a set of goggles, and let's say you bought those HDZero 2s for 700 bucks or whatever they are. I would not want to go out and buy a brand new system just to get flying, a brand new set of goggles. However, if I can buy this VRX and plug this in, great. I can now have the option, like adaptability. It's kind of like buying a big TV and you want to use it with your Xbox and your PlayStation. We all need those HDMI inputs. That's probably a really easy way to compare this. And there's also a recent update, I think, as well, that's enabled some better things from the Ascent Lite VTX. Now, is this in Australian dollars? Yes. So $99 for this, which means 99 plus, like, I think this is 30 US dollars, 35. 36 US dollars plus, okay, 135 bucks for a Ascent VRX and also a little camera. Would you buy that right now? Would you try out Ascent for 135 bucks? Would you put it in your drone? Now, I'm quite interested. This is what I wanted to have a look at. Check this out. So it looks kind of chunky. If you ask me, it looks kind of big on the back here. There's not many mounting options, and if we look at the underneath side, I don't know if we'll be able to put something in here, which means, and this is a big one, I think the days of mounting like this are over. We are not going to be mounting units to the front of our goggles. It's okay when they're small, but if they start getting a little bit bigger, this puts a lot of pressure when you are flying around, and especially with, like, I don't want to say so some goggles can be very, very heavy when they're on your face. I'll leave someone else to say that in chat, but then when you start putting a VRX on the front, it starts to get heavier and heavier. So we need to think about some different ways to mount these VRXs to the front of our goggles. And here's what I think will happen. There's two or three solutions when I've been thinking about this, because if we put them on the front like this, and if we put this on the front here, it's going to be heavy. Having comfortable goggles is really, really important. And if you're wearing something like the Box Pros, and then putting another thing, these are already going to be heavy enough on your head, and putting another thing like a VRX on the front of these, it's not going to be a good time. And it gets even worse when you have a look at some goggles like this, where these are the Goggles X from the makers, from Cadex, who make the Ascent. There is no easy way to mount this on the front right here. This is not designed to strap a module to the front. It's not going to happen. So what do we need to do? We need to sort of rethink of how we're going to do that. Number one, I think a really easy solution, it's not elegant, is to probably maybe have a little lanyard, and it is literally sitting right here with two antennas that come up. It's not going to be for everybody. This is the price you pay for getting into a cheap ecosystem. It's not going to be perfect, right? So you're going to need, maybe it's dangling around your neck, a little bit like your radio. That's how I can see something of a cord coming up. Number two, a lot of radios out there, and I'm sure that somebody will do this in the future actually, they have some little mounting options on the bottom, and some of them have mounting options on the top where we will get a file that we can print, or maybe they will release some actual models that you can purchase to when you're buying the VRX. You will sit your video unit on the top of your radio, and it will have, or somewhere very close to your radio, it will be mounted to your radio. Oh no. Oh gosh. Definitely ordering this new new camera cable straight after this stream. Okay. This should work, maybe. Maybe not. Let's have a look. There we go. We're back. Okay. Here we are. At least there's audio. That's from Johnny DRC. So, yeah, you could mount it to your radio. Some of these VRXs. I think that is a possible solution. Or Speruni had my idea as well. He just put it in the chat. This is what could also happen. The back of the head is a little bit underutilized when it comes to, like, we used to put our goggle battery here to sort of counterbalance a lot of the weight. I don't know if that's where the Box Goggle Pros put their battery, but you know, that's where the DJI goggle pack is. That's where the goggle pack, the battery pack is for this. So you might, I don't want to break those, I don't want to drop them on the floor. You might be able to put those on your head and have the VRX on the back, but with some longer antennas. You would need antennas that stick up above your head because your head's full of water, mine's full of hot air, but for most people, it's going to cause some, you know, RF interference, so you're going to need some higher antennas. That's what I think is going to happen with the future of our VRXs. You're not going to be able to mount them to the front. They seem like they're getting a little bit larger. There's not going to be an elegant solution, and really there's no perfect solution for any of this. The only real winners are probably people who only want to fly one system and they don't care about anything else. They don't care about compatibility. So if you're flying around with DJI, you have a very precise little package that you can fly with. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you want big options for these cheap systems or low latency or testing out some other ecosystems, you're going to need to think about HDMI. But a big one that I don't see anybody talk about is think about how you're going to mount those to your goggles and what is that going to mean in the future. Someone's saying I'm a Martian with them on the back of my head. Angel says, I was going to ask him, would you like me to send you my tips on comfort for the VR04 goggles? Yeah, post them on DIY-FPV and then maybe we can read them out here on stream as well. If you've got them, it would be fantastic because I find them a little bit uncomfortable for me. And Sprinty saying, Stu ain't got no RF blind spots. Yeah, that's it. I've actually got some built-in antennas here. Okay, and then something, I want to talk about something. Looking at the time, please, this is an unpopular opinion, and I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but when we look at these new digital systems and we're looking at what goggle to get, do not worry too much about the analog side of things, because analog, if you already have a whole bunch of analog systems, you probably have some analog goggles. And I often see people talking about, oh, I want a goggle to be able to do everything. I actually don't. I fly around all of these, and if I have to fly analog, I am not going to be getting this and feeding analog into it. I already have a set of analog goggles, so just go and use that. In my wisdom of doing this for 10 years, I've come to learn that you cannot have a jack of all trades goggle. And analog I would put on the lower side of things, of like I see maybe some people saying, oh, I want to be able to get analog and a digital system. If you're a new pilot, you need to maybe reassess why you're doing that. And if you were an old pilot and you already have analog gear, you've probably already got analog goggles. There's a very small Venn diagram of people who need a new analog setup, want digital, and have old analog equipment. And then on the flip side, people say, but Stu, I want to be able to fly analog. That's why I want to get HDZero 2, so I can fly around with analog and HDZero. Okay, but you can also, don't worry about the analog side of things. Why do you want to fly analog? HDZero is better than analog. It's got about the same latency. You would be better suited to think, does it have a HDMI in? Because that's where I want to buy some of these new systems like the Ascent VRX or maybe some futures for the like the P1, the new ArtLink systems that are coming out, those sort of things. Anyway, that's my unpopular take. If you are buying FPV goggles today, being able to receive analog is not as important for most people as you think. And this is where I know some people talk about it. For specifically like this goggle here, it can do both. Why would you want to fly analog if you can fly HDZero? I don't understand that argument. If this could do a different digital system, sure. If this could pick up like, I don't know, like this, the Ascent VRX, sure, that's what it's all about. But then if you go into that territory and want to do it, you can slap that VRX on anything that has a HDMI input. Anyway, I really want to try these goggles. I think I'm going to need to get a pair one day. Maybe that's when we need to start a GoFundMe. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. I own all but left HDZero wasn't for me. I only have my HDO2s, walk, snell, and DJI. That's from Donnie. And then he says the keyboard sucks that he's typing on. Why did you decide to change systems, Donnie? Why don't you like HDZero? Or if anybody has changed systems out there, why don't you like walk, snail, or DJI, or analog, whatever it may be? Blue says, I need analog for whoops, and he's still happy with these HDZero goggles. Great point. Yeah, very, very good. If you want to, I think the HDZero goggles, is that the Box Pros? Or are you using the other ones with a module? And ACG says, because you can buy things like the Lion Bee if you have analog. Yeah. But what did I fly my Lion Bee on? This kind of goes to my point. I flew this with a set of analog goggles that I already have. And I think it's a better, any native solution is always a better fit to what you want to fly with. And Spruny says the goggles are so nice, but the price is too crazy for me. Yeah, well, it is a wide range, which is great because we've got so many options. Okay, now I have some great news. Let me know in the chat, how long have you been subscribed to this channel for? When did you first start watching, or how many years? I'm going to give you about 20 seconds because I have some real, let me know, and I'll wonder how many people actually remember this person. Yeah. Why that's waiting. Donnie says, I chase the best HD. I don't care too much about latency, but definitely don't want too much because I'm mainly a cinematic pilot. Someone's thinking about switching to switching to analog for his long range and freestyle projects. Is it worth it? Good digital systems have become very expensive. I mean, long range, you can't go wrong with flying around analog. Double A says the very beginning. Johnny DRC says 2014. Some other people last year. Train says 2017. Okay, about 4 years. All right. It's time for a little history lesson. A bit of a, I used to live 2,000 kilometers or 1,500 freedom distances. I think you guys call it miles over there in Freedom Land. And that was like south. It was really cold. It was really windy, but I have an amazing group of people to fly with. And they are some of like dear friends that I will remember for the rest of my life. But having that big space between us, it's hard. You know, you don't get to. I used to see these people every single weekend, multiple times a week in, week out. It's sort of it was great. Even one of them, I even traveled to China with, and we filmed some drone videos. We went and explored some factories. We went to visit Emacs, and that was Crash Test Cal. Now, Crash Test Cal, I have not seen since I moved up here, and he is set to turn up sometime tomorrow. He's going to be crashing here for a couple of days, so I am so excited to see Crash Test Cal again. I don't think I think he stopped flying after I moved away, actually. It was always, he used to get behind like this riot shield with a speed gun, and we'd strap a camera to him, and he used to measure how fast these racing drones used to go. Just an absolute legend of a human being, and I can't wait to see him tomorrow. So a bit of an exciting story. They probably won't be doing any video work on Wednesday. That will probably be hanging out, having fun. That's the number one priority to me. I mean, maybe there might be a special guest appearance. I might ask him something. I don't know. But my number one priority is just hanging out, having a good time with him. I can't wait. He used to look after, like, if we went on holidays, he'd even look after my dog, Charlie. Like, that's how good friends we were. And he's going to stop in, say hello for a few days. Someone's saying they remember Cal. What else we got? So, someone said Crazy Trev. No, his name was Grumpy Trev as well. He has to fly all the time with Grumpy Trev. And then, yeah, other people here, they remember him as well. So yeah, just a cool dude that I can't wait to see tomorrow. Now, probably, what else have I got here? I've got a few things to talk about, but this is a big one that goes out to anybody who makes FPV content. I would say this is maybe like an unspoken about thing that can happen in the hobby. If you are making content for other people, it can be really, like, depressing might be a word that some people would use, that if the video doesn't perform or the community isn't engaging as much as you want it to, and you can feel a little bit like disgruntled about it, my advice would be to turn the cameras off and remember, why do we do this FPV thing in the first place? For me, I make content to help people get flying, and if it helps one person or if it helps 100 people get flying, that's my mission accomplished. I would love it to help as many people as possible, but maybe some of those people, they don't need help to get flying. There'll be a lot of pros out there that know how to do everything that I'm talking about. The reason I still make, how do I charge my battery videos? What is this like for a beginner pilot getting in? What is this cheap radio system like? Is to help people get flying. And it is totally fine if those users grow up, mature, and go and do some other things with their FPV time. The reason I make videos is to get people flying, and I enjoy doing that. Now, if you are in a position, you're out there, and you think, I want to make some FPV videos, my first piece of advice is make sure you're doing it for you. If I made a video and no one watched it for 5 years, until eventually 5 years later, it helped one person, that's mission accomplished. And it doesn't actually even matter, because I had fun making that video in the first place. It doesn't matter about what the audience is, or how much it gets viewed or liked, or any of those sort of numbers. If you make content for you, you are always going to have a good time, and you have no control once you push publish on a piece of content what is going to happen after that. Once you make an announcement, and you can do everything right, and it still can go wrong, and you might think this isn't fair, but that is just life. And if you cannot control what will happen, if you've done everything right, you should not feel bad about any of that sort of stuff, because you are not in control of those things. You need to let those things go and just make the things that you like. Maybe you make a bad video and nobody likes it, nobody watches it. Well, they're allowed to do that, and that's totally fine. You also can't expect people to be watching your content. And just a little reality check-in, I guess, that I'm saying to anybody out there who's making content and you're feeling a bit frustrated or fed up because the community's not responding in the way that you want it to do. You're not in control of the community, but you are in control of yourself. So make things and control things that you like to do. And then it's win. It's always going to be a win. I had a video that I made a little while ago that absolutely bombed, but it is one of my all-time favorite videos, where we measured the speed of a whoop across like a board, and we set up like a science experiment to track it, and like we marked it out. It was awesome. It was such a challenging video to create, film, add some humor in there. It's one of my favorite videos, I think, that I am the most proud of. It got like 2,000-3,000 views, which is nothing compared to a channel with as many subs that I've got. So that's just a little piece of advice there. And even large channels can make videos where no one watches them. So if you're a content creator out there, remember, make a video for you. Or maybe, even better, just go and fly for fun, and you don't even have to tell anyone. Just fly for you, because flying FPV is amazing. Go and make some friends and fly. Don't bother to turn the camera on. All right. Let's have a look here over on DIY-FPV, which we've got some posts. Oh, can I just say how amazing our catalog is? Like, this person, Rudy, asked 2 days ago, I looked at this, is trying to acquire maple wireless Yagi antenna. I just Googled that in the DIY-FPV catalog, and there was a store. Now, it wasn't in the States like he was asking for, but it was like this. I've never heard of this before. It was really, really cool to see that. So if you ever want to get FPV gear and find out which store it is in, head over to the catalog. It's It's next level. All right, now, apparently, here we go. So some comfort tips. These are for these goggles right here. Where'd I put them? When these are on my face, I'm not a big fan of these, and I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to box goggles in general. A rubber part under the nose, the bridge of my nose, not on the tip. Then I tighten the top strap until it stays close to the position I want it. Then what I do is I press down a little bit so the rubber becomes slightly deformed upwards and it gets nicely in focus. Like some bit of foam in here. So they're talking about this part right in the middle there. So, okay, I'll have to investigate, because yeah, they don't maybe they need a new like foam plate or something from BetaFPV if they could solve that as well. But all right, that's going to be on DIY-FPV if you need to check that out. Thank you very much. EUC says, I loved that video, Stu. Angel says, yeah, that video bombed. I loved that one. Yeah, it did. I mean, like YouTube wise. And then you can make a video which you're like, oh, this is a fairly uninspiring video that might only help a few people, and it helps a lot of people. So YouTube can be very hard to predict as well. I think it's best to do the best that you can, and then then it's out of your control. So don't feel bad. Well, what's a good analogy here? If you cooked an amazing dinner and it was on the table and then a cyclone blew your house away, would you beat yourself up that you made the wrong choice by doing that for the dinner? No, you'd be like, man, that cyclone sucks, but I can't control that. Maybe it's similar when it comes to making FPV videos. Don't stress about the things you can't control. Alrighty, and Anthony's in here, but I think he's a little bit late. About 7 years ago, I think. Like, so he's just posted a comment now. He's not going to see this until the end of the stream. I feel like he's 20 minutes behind here. So there you go, Anthony Zane. Thanks for tuning in. On that, look, I'm going to say thanks to every single person who is here watching today, because you do matter. You are cared about. You are seen. You are heard. You are not alone. I am so grateful that you are part of this community. I truly mean it when I say you. Listening. No, not that other person. You listening. You are valued and cared about. Thank you for being part of this FPV community. That's what makes this so great. So wherever you are around the world listening to this, I'd just like to say thank you. Just thanks for being you. Huge shout out to all my people here in the chat, especially if you are a Patreon supporter, or maybe today will be the day when you go, you know what, Stu? I'm going to help become one of these members. There should be a little members button down there. You can join, you get some bonus videos. I'm going to be releasing one soon, a new update for some straight flights from the P1 VTX. So that will be on my members only part. And also you get to help us build amazing things for the community like this, like our channel organizer. This is, your help, your support is part of what makes DIY-FPV so amazing. So to be able to do things like this with your support, it means an awful lot. If that's you today and you think, yes, Stu, I will help you, I want to say thank you. All right. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. And as always, happy flying. I actually don't even know what this song is at the end, but you guys seem to enjoy it. So, because I've got the sound turned off on my computer when I'm doing this. So I don't know what this song is, but I don't know. Let me know if it's a good song or a bad song, or it's just part of the stream, I guess. It's been here for years.